I'd like to welcome everybody to the Crypto Millionaires Club. This is part of my 5-minute X Rapid, quick, significant crypto news. Guys, we did a hell of a deep dive on Graig Phillips, who left the Department of Treasury and who now has joined Ripple Board of Directors. But I find it ironic, guys, that we have completed phase one. Also, Bearable Guy highlights 3 phases. I believe these 3 phases have to do with the rolling out of the Interledger Protocol and XRP rising as the Phoenix. Clearly, Bearable Guy has highlighted CKJ as China, Korea, Japan. I got some really good news to that also. And also, guys, I did a little bit more of a rabbit hole research on Graig Phillips, and I have a hell of a clip from him talking about the executive order 13772, which is calls out Ripple's name. So I've been saying, guys, the Department of Treasury is working directly with Ripple, and they will be rolling out the Interledger Protocol, and ODL is a answer for the liquidity crisis across the globe. And this is a hell of a video, guys. You do not want to miss this one. China, Korea, and Japan, CKJ, signed a deal to use Chinese gold-backed crypto in trade. China is days, weeks away from unveiling their gold-backed crypto. They will move these assets on the XRPL. I truly believe that. The IMF and the World Bank gave their blessing. Shout out to Tony Valentino at Tony Vale. I will link all this in the description. Phase 1 complete. President Xi says China should seize the opportunity to adapt blockchain technology. Now, also, guys, this is really strange that now the People Republic of China and General Secretary of the Communist Party of China said the country needs to seize the opportunity afforded by blockchain technology after phase 1 completed with Trump the other day. It's awful ironic that now we're getting this news. Now let's seize the opportunity. Ripple expands global regulatory team, and DC joins the Blockchain Association. Now, this is the news I said is massive. With this in mind, we are thrilled to announce Ripple Labs has expanded our global regulatory team, and this is the first major blockchain company with a dedicated GR office in Washington, D.C., walking distance from the White House. In addition, Graig Phillips, former counselor to Secretary at the US Treasury Department, has joined Ripple Board of Directors. Now, I've been down the rabbit hole constantly tying Graig Phillips to the executive order, which calls out Ripple's name. Now, this is Graig Phillips' Twitter right here, and this is him shaking hands with Steven Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary right here. It's been an honor serving the Treasury. I have been so proud to represent the administration, which is the Trump administration, dynamic tax, regulatory, and economic policies. There is much to be proud of, and I look forward to cheering the team on as they do to you. Rabbit hole time. Now, this is from 2018. I kind of like getting some information from where Graig Phillips stood at the Department of Treasury, or, like I said, can I tie him to the executive order? During DC FinTech Week, attended NFCU, Andrew Thomas, Treasury Department Counselor Graig Phillips indicated that the department coordinating with other regulators to develop a cryptocurrency policy and reiterated the importance of the U.S. modernizing its payment system. That right there, guys, is a truly mic drop moment. You got Treasury Department Graig Phillips says we need to modernize the U.S. payment system and develop cryptocurrency policy. It does not get bigger than that, that's for sure. Phillips also acknowledged the need for an improved payment system in the U.S. and referred to the Federal Reserve's proposal of a 27365 RTG. So that's massive. If I move on, this is Treasury Department Graig Phillips on the FSOC, which is the Financial Stability Oversight Council. Trump appointed Jay Clayton actually oversees this board, which they have approved cryptocurrency. Graig Phillips, Treasury Department, honestly, that there are similarities with the private sector. There are more similarities with the private sector than I would have expected. So pretty much he's already working with Ripple at this point, I believe. While we play an important function in developing policy at the Treasury, there's a very large amount of operating responsibilities, such as financing the government and making what are effectively operating decisions. I have found a lot of similarities with the private sector in this decision, planning, and execution process. He's building up that I'm working with them on the executive order. And they're going to talk about following the crisis in the Dodd-Frank Act, which was the birth of cryptocurrency. Phillips, the president, issued an executive order that established core principles for the financial system. This executive order directed the Treasury to take a fresh look at the impact of all statutes, regulations, and guidance of which had changed quite a bit since the financial crisis. They're building up to it. I think a large takeaway that suggests we need to do significant work. Now, if I go down here, first of all, the U.S. economy derives of a higher percentage of credit. Where's it at? There's some really good stuff in here, guys. I'm going to link this in here. I highly recommend you read this whole thing. There's so many gems in here. Now, he talks about the FSOC, which we've done so much research on. They support cryptocurrency. We indicate that Treasury would perform a review. I apologize. The Treasury is working with the Federal Reserve, the Treasury's Office on Tax Policies, of course. Okay, this is it. Phillips right here. We believe innovation is incredibly important in the financial services, and we are undertaking a fourth, this is the executive order. We are undertaking a fourth and final report on the executive order covering non-bank and financial and innovation to include many aspects of fintech. This is insane. I cannot believe that I found Graig Phillips actually speaking of the executive order that they call out Ripple by name, and then he joins Ripple Labs. Amazing. Basically, cryptocurrencies at such point tokens are limited to blockchain technology and important innovation. So you guys get this right here. While we applaud fintech, but then I like to go to this right here. Graig Phillips, counselor at the US Treasury Secretary Munich, covers government topics. This is from the CFTC right here. And this is actually the clip that I found, guys. Just listen to this 1-minute clip. You're going to be surprised. He talks about Phase 4, executive order, which calls out Ripple by name.
But they also identify the importance of allowing our American companies to be competitive with foreign firms in both domestic and foreign markets. This includes assessing how we engage in international financial regulatory negotiations and forums. And finally, the principle of making regulation more efficient, effective, and appropriately tailored stands out to me. It's an important step in restoring public accountability of the financial regulatory agencies and rationalizing the federal financial regulatory framework. So we approach this task by doing extensive outreach to market participants, as well as substantive research on regulations and underlying analysis. We decided ultimately to partition the work to properly cover every segment of the financial system in sufficient detail, which resulted in a total of 4 reports. We covered banks and credit unions, a sector highly impacted by the Dodd-Frank Act, in a report issued in June of 2017. We covered the capital markets in a report issued in October 2017. That same month, we issued a report covering asset management insurance. This latest report, issued just last month in July 2018, covers non-bank financials, fintech, and innovation. For the fintech report, we met with or received submissions from over 232 parties that shows just how broad-based this topic is. We personally believe that it was impossible to truly understand the impact of regulation and the potential for alternative approaches without engaging extensively with market participants, which we've done throughout the series. The final report has over 81 discrete recommendations, all of which we think are focused on in improving the financial economy as per the core principles.
Well, let's take a step back here and look at the big picture, since you kind of brought it up. I guess the question I have is, why did Treasury decide to dedicate a report to non-bank financials, fintech, and innovation?
Well, through our work, we consistently heard that enabling innovation in the financial services sector is of critical importance. So innovation in many respects is driven by new technologies and the constantly expanding uses for data. Given the increasing reliance by consumers and businesses on mobile applications.
Unbelievable. Guys, this is Graig Phillips clearly talking about Phase 4 executive order. Was questioned why would they dedicate a part in this executive order to non-bank and financial fintech firms. He says because the technology they're bringing to the table is amazing. It can surely make the U.S. economy and the global economy run more efficiently. I will link this in here, guys. I highly recommend you definitely give this video a listen right here. And of course, guys, Corey Johnson tried to tell us ahead of time, Ripple XRP better than Libra, but also Corey Johnson has came out and said Ripple goes to the White House. The Trump administration is reportedly researching crypto, especially XRP. The Trump administration is, Graig Phillips that just spoke, is Steven Mnuchin. They are all appointed officials under President Trump's clock. ECB and the People's Bank of China extend bilateral currency swap arrangement. Of course, ECB, European Central Bank, Madame Lagarde takes over on the 1st. She's been working with this deal with them before. Of course, she just don't take over that day. American Express. China grants payment license to American Express. I believe Phase 1 has also offered the opportunity for American companies to do business with China. We know American Express is a Ripple partner. Trump, Ripple, China, CKJ, Phase 1 complete. AU runs on Ripple. Corey Johnson told y'all Ripple working with the Trump administration. Ask Graig Phillips about Ripple. President Xi says China should seize the opportunity to adopt blockchain. Phase 1 has him excited. Ripple goes to the White House. The Trump administration is reportedly researching crypto, especially XRP. Guys, I truly do believe XRP is the standard. You just heard it from Graig Phillips' own mouth about the executive order. Was this a hell of a deep dive or what? The Crypto Millionaires Club logo will come down right now. Smash that logo to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, and you will be getting videos throughout the day like this. Much love. Mahalo. Hodl.